Handle your high with Daddy Yoshi. All right, welcome back to the show, and I'm going to welcome back Jon De La Rosa. You've been on my show before, but thanks for taking the time. You're driving right now to New York.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, taking a little bit of a drive. 17 hours, not too bad.
That's a long drive.
Heading over to primarily see my family. It's been a few months since I've seen them, and I'm kind of getting deeper into my prep now. So I know I probably won't see him for another few months. I just took the opportunity. Flex is out of town doing some stuff for Arsenal Strength, one of his companies, and I took the opportunity to just head to New York and spend some time with my family before, like I said, things get a little bit deeper into prep and I get a little more focused and I won't have the time or energy to really come out and see them. So.
Excellent. Now you're prepping for?
Well, we were prepping for New York Pro right now. Hopefully it happens. The way things are looking right now, I'm not confident in that happening, but, we're going to continue prepping anyways, and, hope it does happen.
What's the date on that? It got moved, and I don't
September, as of right now, it's September 5th. But again, it's kind of up in the air. Things in New York are not doing very well. They kind of just pushed everything back again. Restaurant openings, haircut, barber shops, nail salons, all that stuff got pushed back again. So who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, I have a sneaky suspicion. And I don't know. I don't have any inside information, but just from what I can tell from the data and everything, that we're probably going to, in order to get this thing under control in the foreseeable future, we're probably going to have a complete lockdown of the country. I just think that is going to have to be the case. There's no way that the way we've done it. I mean, agree. New York, Cuomo has done a super job of what he's been doing. I mean, I think if everyone acted like that, then I think we would probably be a much better place. But and if we had acted sooner, but everyone debates this all the time. All this stuff is out there, but and if you're like me, I'm tired of even talking about it. I'm tired of even hearing about it.
I just want things to go back to normal. Yeah. It's not easy. I'll tell you one thing. It's not easy prepping for a show that may be happening. It's kind of like it screws with your mind because you're kind of like dreading having to eat tilapia, and then you're kind of like, maybe I don't have to.
It'll be okay if I have this cheat.
That's tough. It messes with you, but being a professional bodybuilder, you gotta be professional. You gotta stay on track. You gotta do what you gotta do. So
because
the prep continues.
Right, exactly. Okay, good. Yeah, I guess you just have to sort of just flick I called it flicking the switch when I was competing, but you just got to flick the switch and don't turn it up until the clear signs.
That's it. Yep.
Well, that's good, man. I know that. I've been really proud of the improvements that you've made in the last year. They really are phenomenal. Your work with Neil is doing fabulous. I think he's a great coach as well. But aside from that, today I saw a post that you did this last week on you see a counselor and she has been helping. I think it's a lady. Is it a lady?
Yes, Dr. Lori,
Yeah, she's been helping you through a lot. I know you and I had talked several years ago when you were going through your divorce, and I've been through rough times in my life in similar fashion, and it helps to talk to somebody. And I really, really felt encouraged and really felt impressed that you put yourself out there and talked about this in the public space, because not a lot of people. And I remember you saying something about feelings, and you kind of said something about how some people are more feelings oriented, and some people, and you are, and some people don't like to talk about it, and they think it's sort of sissy, so to speak. But I'm like you.
Yeah.
I'm a feelings guy. I think we're built this way, and I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you put it out there, because I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of to talk about feelings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely more of an emotional person. Definitely more in touch with my feelings, and I'm sensitive to things, and sometimes it can be difficult, wearing the exterior we wear, being a big muscular guy. People expect you to be this hardened, tough person, and then when, they kind of really get to know who I am, they're like, man, I didn't expect you to be this way. So it can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing where, people, some people will like look at you and expect you to be a way, and then when you're not that way, they're kind of disappointed or feel like you shouldn't be that way. You should be more of what they think you should be, which is a tough guy or harder with your feelings or whatever it is. So I made the post because the last 3 years of my life, just to put it bluntly, have really sucked. It's been a really difficult time for me, and it got to a point where I needed to, working out in the gym has always been my breakaway, my safe haven, But that's only an hour or two out of the day. What do we do with our minds the rest of the day?
Right.
It's 22 hours that your mind's still ticking. Yeah, we can escape when we're in the gym, but I mean, if you're human, you're living life, and things happen, and sometimes you don't know how to deal with things, and unfortunately, sometimes we'll go through things that like a divorce. Mm-hmm. That was really, for me, it was shocking. It came out of left field. There wasn't any discussions with my ex-wife of being unhappy or anything. So it just kind of shocked me. And in the fashion that I had found out was really hard on me. So there was a lot of questions. There was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of heartbreak and hurt. And I just kind of, thankfully I had people like you. My family's been amazing. I had a lot of friends that were very supportive and tried to talk me through things. But at the end of the day, what was happening in my head was I had lost a lot of confidence in myself. I had lost a lot of assurance of who I was. I had my identity wrapped up so much in being a husband, being a provider, being the best man that I could be for this woman that when that was gone, I no longer knew who I was, what I was doing, what I was supposed to be doing with my life. I kind of lost purpose, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and from there, I was kind of left to my own devices, which for me, I'm an overthinker, always have been since I was a child. And it was very detrimental to me. Like I said, I left my marriage broken already because I had been left what it seemed like for another man. So that destroyed my confidence. It destroyed, I don't know. Like I said, it was more my confidence, what I was doing in this life with this person, and my purpose. I felt less than.
Yeah.
In almost every area, of my life.
There's something very. I mean, almost as you know, we talked about this back then. As you know, I went through a very similar situation with my ex-wife. And when we got divorced, it was exactly the same situation, exactly almost, except I didn't find out the way you found out, but almost. And right. So, and that to me, and like what you're describing is absolutely accurate to my situation as well. It could take years to get through some of this, a couple of years. And I would describe it as, and I think this will echo for you, a sense of worthiness. Like I questioned my worthiness for love, and my business suffered, and it's literally taken me up until almost now to gain that kind of strength back, because you have to work through those things in your mind. You have to work through those things in your psyche. So it sounds like I just didn't have the benefit of. You've been seeing a counselor, you saw a therapist, and tell me about that. Yeah. Tell me about what kind of breakthroughs or what kinds of things happen with the therapist.
So, leading into that, what happened was I had 2 relationships after my divorce, and they both failed. One of them was very just toxic and not good. The person that I was with was extremely jealous and insecure and just very volatile with their words, and said a lot of mean things that again continued to break me down. It was really hurtful. It was kind of like I was hoping that I could kind of build myself back up around this person, and it just seemed like they were breaking me down even more. So, and I stepped right into that role of being a provider, kind of being husband-like. You know, she moved into my place. I paid for everything. She didn't work, you know, so I tried to be the best man that I could, but that didn't work out. So then the next relationship I got into, which was more recent, also didn't work out, but this time it was my fault. And that's really what led me to, again, going to see a therapist, because I had done something that I swore I'd never do. I did, you know, I was acting in a way that was very uncharacteristic of me. And looking back after that person had left, I was just really, I was torn apart. It was worse than my divorce.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was more so because I felt like I had died. Like who I truly was gone. If that makes any sense. I don't know if it does, but
no, it makes perfect sense. I mean, sometimes when we act in ways that are contrary to our nature, and we don't even know why.
Right.
It's like,
yeah. So long story short, as toxic as my last, the girlfriend before this past one was, she ended up coming back and like wanting to work things back out, and came on to me, and one thing led to another, and boom, this was very early in my most recent relationship. I think we were together for 6 weeks at the time. And immediately after that happened, I was just like, what did I just do? Why? You know, and I remember thinking that I was probably going to get hurt anyways, and that was my justification for it.
Self-sabotaging.
Yeah. In the moment, I didn't realize. I didn't know what I was doing. Like I said, when this person had found out what happened, she actually forgave me and was kind enough to stick things through with me, although she wasn't 100% sure. And I lied. I didn't want to lose her. I was like, no, that didn't happen. You know. And I continued to push this person away, you know, and I did truly love this person. I felt deeply in love with her, and I didn't know. I just kept pushing people away that cared about me. I mean, if you look at what I did in moving to Florida, I kind of ran away from everybody. I mean, look, it was the best thing, that it was what I needed at the time, right? It pushed me to heal in some way, but it was also detrimental because I didn't really seek the help that I needed to fully heal. Instead, I just buried everything.
Wow.
I didn't deal with everything that I needed to deal with properly, and then all of these negative things that I had taken on and pushing people away and lashing out, it ended up hurting somebody that I truly loved. So when all that happened, you know, I had spoken to my mom, and my mom kind of was like really disappointed in me. I didn't tell anybody what happened, not a single person.
Wow. You were embarrassed?
Because I was so ashamed.
Yeah.
I was ashamed. I was ashamed of myself. I couldn't believe. Again, I mean, you could ask any one of my friends that know me. I'm the guy that's always protecting women. Like, hey, don't do that. You know, you got a girl at home. She's a good woman. Don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that.
That's
I know
who
that
I
about
am.
you.
And then, yeah, I mean, if you any person who truly knows me and has known me for a long time knows that this is the kind of person I am. And then I'd become this person that, like, I just didn't care. I felt like I was going to get hurt, and then whatever, who cares? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, losing this person and then talking to my mom was a little bit, not a little bit, she was disappointed in me, and ended up like, you know, you're an asshole. Why would you do that? And it really messed with me because, again, I didn't have an answer. I was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. And
I know how
that's what pushed me to see.
I know how close you are with your mom, and I know how that impactful these kinds of things would be for you. People who don't know,
Yeah.
you're very close to your family.
Yeah.
You have a great relationship with your mom and your dad, and you're just tight. And so,
Yeah.
and they mean a lot to you. So this was a turning point
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad was disappointed in me as well. You know, and that alone with my parents, and you look, I'm a 36-year-old man. Most people are like, who cares? But like you said, my family, we're very, very, very close to one another. And just hearing that was like, made me question who I was becoming. And I know that whoever that person was, I didn't like.
Right.
So I decided to go see a counselor. I decided I needed to figure out for myself what was going on. And it was probably the best decision I made in my life. It's been very revealing and rewarding at the same time. It's no joke. It's a lot of work. It's very, very emotional. We talked about from my childhood that, you know, this stuff all relates back to, it's not stuff that just came from my divorce and stuff that relates back to my childhood that, you know, I mean,
It's my understanding. It's my understanding that in many cases, in most people's cases, that those traumas or messages that we receive when we're younger, that sometimes these events today, like divorce, like these traumatic events like today, like divorce or death, can cause some of those things to come bubbling right back up in really strange ways and painful ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I had been dealing with a lot. My uncle had committed suicide months before this all happened as well. A month and a half before I ended up cheating on my ex-girlfriend. So I was dealing with a lot emotionally. My uncle was also one of the biggest influences. My father's brother was one of the biggest influences in my bodybuilding career. He was the person that gave me the first encyclopedia, you know, bodybuilding magazine. So, you know, I was dealing with his suicide, and just it was a lot. There was a lot that was going on, and I couldn't manage it all in my head. I couldn't figure it all out. I didn't know what was happening to me. All I knew was I hurt somebody that I truly loved and never meant to hurt, and I didn't know why. And it was the most confusing thing in the world, because we do things as adults and we're like, oh, well, we should know why we do them. But I didn't have an answer. So I started to see that. Started to talk about things, like I said, that I never expected to talk about, but we talked about. And, you know, the way we started piecing things together, just like I said, it was very revealing, super emotional, super draining, but it's probably the most rewarding thing I've done.
What kinds of things that surprised you that came up that really sort of helped you move beyond some of this stuff?
Well, I mean, like I said, a lot of the stuff from my childhood, a lot of people don't know that, you know, my mom had raised us 4 kids without my father for 6 years. And that was, it was a huge part in why losing people in my life in any capacity is very difficult for me. More difficult than, you know, and, you know, most people don't understand how difficult it can be for somebody who struggles with abandonment, you know, to lose somebody.
Yeah, I get this. Wow, it's just really surreal. I'm just going to say it because it's really surreal, because my life, many of the challenges in my life and the events of my life echo yours so precisely. I lost my grandfather at a very pivotal time in my life when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And I struggled with, and my ex-wife would tell me this in our marriage, and I just disregarded it. That she'd say, I think you have abandonment issues, Tad. And as soon as when she decided to leave my marriage, my life has echoed in its troubles the same, and my sadness the same as yours. And I've gone through this. So everything you're saying, man, is like, I get it. I've been there. And I'm not proud to say it. I don't want. I've done the same kinds of things. I did. You use certain things in your life to try to mask the pain or muffle it or just not
Yeah.
feel it, you know,
Yeah.
it's not, it doesn't cure it, doesn't help it. The only way I think that
No, it doesn't help.
so what I've come to is, and I'd love to hear your 2 cents on this. Is what I've come to know, at least as it stands today, is that you have to embrace it and then let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to clear something up. I know that the word abandonment sounds like my father may have abandoned us. That's not the case at all. My father was just young and we were struggling, and he made a decision to try and do something that, you know, ended up he had to do some time away from us, and you know, then things became very difficult for our family as we only had my mother with no college education and working 3-4 jobs to try to make ends meet, and we struggled. So that's the reason. But you know, at 7 years old, 6 years old, when your father's there one day and then gone the next,
Yeah.
you know, it's hard. You're thinking as a 7-year-old kid that you shouldn't be thinking. You know, you shouldn't be thinking about, well, how are we going to survive? How are we going to get food? How are we? You know, that's not what a 7-year-old kid should be thinking.
No.
You know, and at 7 years old, the other thing is, you know, the thoughts that you have of what a person is doing in jail is that they're a bad person, right?
Right.
That's all you know. Good people are free, bad people go to jail. And I knew my father's the best guy in the world, and he still is the best fucking guy in the world.
Your dad's
I don't
so
care
cool.
what anybody says.
Your dad's the best. I would agree 100%. Dude never has a smile.
He's the best. I tell you, my father is my biggest inspiration. He's the best.
I love that dude when I first met him, man. He was like, I was like,
yeah. So, you know, he was doing what he could. He was trying to make some money for his family. Unfortunately, it ended up bad. But imagine a 7-year-old kid now, the hero of his life, his father is gone. He's there wondering how we're going to survive as a family, and also struggling with the thought of, but my dad is good. Why is he, what's going on? So there was a lot of stuff that, you know, we talked about, again, that I hadn't talked about in years. I buried that as well. And, you know, I can remember a specific moment where my mom fell. This is probably 2 years in. I was a little older. She fell and broke her leg, and she was just crying for my dad. And, you know, like I said, 8, 9 years old, like, what am I supposed to do? I couldn't do anything. And I felt helpless and just like a failure. You know, all these emotions. Again, you're a kid. You don't know how to manage these things. There's things that,
we don't. It's kind of funny because when we're children, and I'm very conscious of this with my daughter. She's a little older. She's getting older now. She's 11, but children don't know how to process traumas very well. They don't know how to do that very well.
Right.
And so it gets either unprocessed or it gets processed incorrectly, so to speak, and then it can manifest later in life in all these other weird ways, like how we treat women. Sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's negative. Oftentimes it's negative.
Right.
So I could totally see that in you. You're the protector.
Right.
You're the guy who wants to.
Yeah.
You know, and my mother would tell me later in my life, Ted, she'd say, Ted, you can't save them all. You can't save them all. I always wanted to be the knight in shining armor. That's the guy I wanted to be for all the women in my life, for all the women.
Like, same with me.
I know.
You know, it's funny. Just on Wednesday, so today's Thursday. So yesterday I saw my therapist, and she's extremely afraid of bugs. And for whatever reason, this huge bug fell out of her roof and like fell right next to her. She was screaming.
Oh my gosh!
And I immediately got up, and I was gonna be the protector, be the hero. That was my role. I stepped right into it. And she stopped me. She said, no, you are not going to do this right now. And I'm like, what do you mean? I had no idea what she was talking about. But she immediately caught it. And, you know, the funniest thing happened. I started to shake. I couldn't stop myself from wanting to help. I was like, it was almost like an immediate response. My body just wanted to, and I had to like mentally stop myself. It was the weirdest thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So we program ourselves into these these responses, and this is what I mean. Like I started to have these responses to situations that was not me, and that's when I realized, no, I have to.
So what is that?
Figure out what's going on and correct this.
So what's going on there? Why do we do that? Like, what did she have any insights on this? Why sometimes we act in these ways that maybe outside of our character or maybe outside of what we would normally be?
Well, it's for me. It was protection. It was me trying to protect my heart. For me, it was like not feeling any more hurt, any more pain. I didn't want to open myself up to people that could do that to me. So instead, I would self-sabotage or push away. And that's what I had been doing for the last, 2.5, 3 years of my life. Which, again, if anybody knows me, like, I took such pride in being a husband. I loved, that was probably the best years of my life. I felt the most purpose. I was providing. I was, loving somebody. I was taking care of somebody. I was, protecting that person. I was in love with her, she was everything to me. And I felt like I was on top of the world. And then when that was taken away from me and I felt all that hurt and that pain, anytime I felt that kind of love again, that kind of comfort, it was a trigger response for that hurt, that pain again.
And can you remember back when you first felt that? I bet you it was when your mom, something to do with your mother.
Yeah.
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 Bet. And so it became,
Absolutely.
It manifested itself in all your relationships. You wanted to fix that part of your mother. You wanted to fix the pain.
Yeah.
You wanted to fill the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can totally see that.
Yep.
Wow. This
crazy.
This stuff is really fascinating. Who we are as people and our behaviors and how it manifests in our lives is wild. And so now, so when working through all these things, it's probably just like an ongoing work in progress. My guess is. Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Lori and I, we meet every Wednesday. I've been very aggressive with my therapy with her, just because. Look, if I can take my physical fitness as serious as I do, this is something I want. I hope that the listeners here really listen to what I'm about to say, because I think it's really important. We can take care of our heart. We can take care of our muscles. We can take care of our skin. A lot of people neglect taking care of their mind. Your mind can be a very powerful thing. And I say for myself that I have probably done more harm throughout my life with my mind than good. There's been moments where I swear everybody around me believes. I mean, the conversation you and I were just having before we got on live. You said, "Man, you're just. I see great things. You've always told me that. You always have." And the reality is that deep down in my heart, even though I'm nodding, thank you, I never believed that of myself.
It's funny you say that. I remember the first time I spoke to you in person after I think you won the Nationals or something, and you turned pro, and I had made a comment on social media about you. I said, "Hey man, this is a guy, he's coming up, and I really think he's got one of the best front double biceps in the business." And you made a point to come over and tell me thank you for that. And I said, "Hey man, I mean it." But I remember the feeling I had when I told you it again, and I felt he doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe it.
I never did.
I'm like, man, but I believe it. I still believe it. I still think you got one of the best front double biceps in the business.
and see, this is the beautiful thing about really working that muscle out, working the mind out, is that sometimes we get clouded with our thoughts and, again, the traumas and everyday life, bills, relationships, kids, work. There's so much that information that is constantly coming through that sometimes we forget to work on how we truly love and feel about ourselves. So now I'm starting to see what you see. Now I'm starting to believe what you believe because I've moved a lot of that stuff that was holding me back. I mean, there's still so much work to do, but I can feel and see those things now of myself. It's like, why not? I put in 17 years of my life to the sport. Why not me? Why can't I truly give the Mr. Olympia a run for his money? I can.
Easy.
Right?
Absolutely.
Why not? Why not? Maybe not this year, maybe in 2 years, maybe in 3 years, but I can. I can. And the people around me believe that I can. And why do they believe that I can? Because they see something in me that maybe I don't see right now, but they see it. They believe in me.
Yeah, the irony is in this is that you've been living in your skin your whole life, 30 some odd years, and these other people have only known you for a handful, and they can see it so clearly. Yeah. and we can't sometimes.
And that's the thing is that, how much have I held myself back? To me, it makes me sick to my stomach that I didn't do this sooner. How much better could my career have been? How much better could my relationships have been? My friendships, I've been dying for a child and a healthy relationship, and I want a family of my own. Everybody that knows me knows that. I'm a family man. Again, I'm driving to New York 17 hours because I want to see my little nephew, Xander. He's the most beautiful thing in the world. And I would love that for myself. But who's to say that if I hadn't done this sooner, I wouldn't have that life? I mean, it's too late now, and it's okay. It's not that it's not going to happen. It's just I want people to realize the magnitude of of working on yourself and really taking time for yourself and taking care of yourself, loving yourself, whatever that means. If it's going to the gym and that's good enough for you, great. Some people like myself who, are very emotional, very, I'm like all in on everything that I do. When I give myself to someone or something, it's like my whole heart is in it. And unfortunately, I just never really knew how to deal with disappointment, with hurt, with pain. I kind of just buried it. I guess I kind of just got tired of dealing with it and feeling it and never really processed through those things. And, it manifested itself in ways that, like I said, was unfortunately pushing people away, hurting people that I love. And it was just, it is what it is. It's what led me here. But I will say, by the grace of God, I'm in one of the best spots of my life. I'm heartbroken. I hurt somebody that I truly do love to this day. I think about her every day. But, we're adults. We have to deal with the consequences of our actions. And I've accepted that. I forgive myself for the things that I've done. I understand why I did the things that I did. And I've committed myself to not ever hurting somebody in that way again. And that's all I can do. I hope that person can forgive me as well. And that's it. We move on. But I'm excited for, my career moving forward, with my love life moving forward, with my business life moving forward, all the things that I've limited myself with my thoughts, with my mind. I just feel like I'm opening up to this world, this brand new world where there's so much opportunity.
Absolutely. It's funny because, and I think it's, while on one side of this coin, it's kind of sad because I think sometimes some of the same kinds of things that, sometimes we feel like we have missed opportunities, like with your lady, your ex-girlfriend, whatnot. But the truth, the way I see it, there's always multiple facets to look at things from, right? And so while there's one facet that says, yes, this is a big disappointment, and it can be, and it's a bit heartbreaking because I know the kind of guy you are, and I know that that those kinds of things are out of character for you. But more importantly, you are responding to pain in your life, and we don't always know why we do these things, and now you do, but you're becoming such a more deeply thoughtful, and you always were already, but and also such a more powerful person as an individual. I believe this. That's what pain does to us, and your experiences, while I'll agree, we don't, it's not desirable to go through all this stuff, but man, does it make, so, I mean, in order to make, I don't know, most people don't know this, but I like using little analogies, but when you make a traditional samurai sword, I think I told you this analogy once. I messaged you it. You make this is a samurai sword the traditional way in ancient Japan. It took an average of a couple of years to make, just one of them, because you have to fold that metal over and over and over to get all the oxygen out, and then the metal becomes really dense. But in order to do that, you got to get it hot. You got to bang on it over and over and over for years, and by the time it's done. You could they said that some of the best swords makers, you could take that blade and you could bend it end to end, and it would wrench back straight as an arrow. That's how tough, that's how great that metal, how much they folded it, how great those blades were. But the point is that sometimes, man, to get that really wonderful product, that really unique product that we want of ourselves, man, we got to bang at it. We've got to get roughed up a little bit, and it's the pain and the suffering that we go through that teaches us everything, right? It's like not the victories don't like when every contest you won, there was things you learned along the way, but you didn't learn as much as you learned from the ones that you got your ass kicked in.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the last 3 years have definitely been the toughest years of my life, hands down. And it's definitely opened my eyes to a lot of things that I needed to work on and acknowledge of myself. And I think it's definitely made me a better man. It's just unfortunate that I hurt people along the way, and I'm truly sorry for that. But I think that everything we go through in life is necessary for us to become the person we're meant to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that I'm still in the process of becoming that person. I'm far from perfect, but I'm trying to be the best man that I can be in this world. And again, back to the post, that's the reason why I posted it. I had spoken to my therapist, Dr. Lori, the day that I was going to post it, and I remember telling her that I was afraid, more so afraid of how people would view me afterwards. I know a lot of people like yourself know that I'm an emotional and sensitive person. I know that you know the kind of man that I truly am. But when you're putting yourself out there in front of a world of people who expect you to be something different, it's scary.
It is. Yeah.
But it's very scary. But and honestly, it was probably one of the scariest things I've ever done, because I was just being raw and myself, and like, here I am, you know.
Well, I appreciated it.
I hope. Yeah.
Did you get a good response?
Unfortunately, I did. And I'm getting to that now. I got a great response, but unfortunately, there were people that were not so nice about what I had posted.
Really?
And it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I got some pretty mean messages about what men should be like. We should be able to handle our stuff on our own, and we should be open and putting stuff out there and whatever. But
I don't believe in that.
Back to my point is, I did this, and I made that post because I really I hope that it reaches someone, a male or female, but in my case, particularly a male, because it was very difficult. My father, as much as you see him smiling and laughing, my father was the man of the house.
Right. Very traditional
role. My father, never spoke about his feelings, and he's still like that. I mean, my father's brother committed suicide, and I didn't see my father shed a single tear.
Oh, man.
He didn't shed a single tear. That's how he deals with his stuff. It's like, and we joke because I have the exterior of my father 100%, but I have the terrible experience of having the inside of my mother.
I don't think, honestly, man, I think there's an incredible truth and incredible authenticity to a person, male or female, that can express their feelings honestly. I value it as a person, which is why I've always gravitated towards you in the industry as a friend and as a companion. I think you're a wonderful person, and I think that it is an honorable quality to be able to
thank you
express
so
your feelings.
much.
Absolutely.
It is. I believe it is too. But like I said, it's sometimes difficult to be who you truly are. I mean, like I said, I was saying and doing things that were completely out of character just to feel accepted, to feel like I was normal, and it's like that's not okay. I love who I am. I truly do.
I don't like the way that feels, by the way. This is why I don't do it, because I don't like the way that feels. When you're acting in accordance with what you think, and you always know when you do it. You always know when you do it because you can feel it's against the grain of who you are.
Yep.
It feels like a lie. It's like a big fat lie that's just sitting hanging out there in front of your face.
That's exactly what it was, and there were several times that I did it, and it's like, why, but again, now looking back at it, I just wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be normal. I always felt like I was out of place. Like who I was, I couldn't really truly be who I was around certain people because they wouldn't, I mean, I've been in, particularly with this person and that person would tell me, you're too sensitive, you're too emotional, because I was telling them how I felt, and that hurt. It's like, wait, I'm just telling you how this would make me feel, and they were like, oh, you're just being sensitive.
My ex-wife used to tell me that bullshit. She'd say, oh, you're too sensitive, Tad. Oh man, I used to go, what are you talking about? Like, that was that. Right. You're right. That was very hurtful.
Yeah. Well, so that is pretty much what I was hearing leading up into the affair that happened. I felt like, okay, I wasn't good enough. I wasn't being accepted for who I was, and then I wasn't sure where that relationship was going, and all this confusion, and then boom, that happened, and it was unfortunate. But back to the positivity, something great came out of this that I really want to point out, and I hope that people can benefit from this as well. So the post was made because I want men to feel like mental health is normal. It's okay to go see a therapist. It's okay to reach out to a friend and talk about your problems. But furthermore, I got introduced to a company called Build a Brotherhood on Instagram.
Build a Brotherhood. What is that?
Build a Brotherhood. So unfortunately, this woman had reached out to me. Unfortunately, her brother had committed suicide because he was not in a position. He didn't feel he was in a position to talk to other people. He felt like, and he was a veteran as well. He just kind of bottled everything up. Bottled everything up, and unfortunately ended up taking his own life. So she started this wonderful organization where she wanted to try to normalize men seeking help, just talking about things, mental health. And she saw my post and reached out to me, and we're going to continue working together. And, I'm going to fly out to do some seminars and stuff with her. And, we're organizing everything together, but try and normalize mental health in the male culture.
I think that's really important because in today's society, as you pointed out, we have this thing called toxic masculinity. It's these ideas surrounding how men should act in these ways that really aren't healthy for us, for anyone to act. And it's just more acceptable for women to be able to express their emotions and be feeling and have their feelings and such. It's been historically not so good for men to do it, and it's completely inaccurate and it's completely unhealthy. And we're seeing the consequences. As a matter of fact, the highest, and people might want to know this, that statistically, each year, the highest number of suicides, the demographic is in men of the ages between 40 and 55. That's the highest demographic.
Wow.
Yes. And why? Because that's the age when men usually have cycled through a marriage, like you and I did, and they get to this point where now they're into their careers and they don't have as big a social outlet, and now they're alone and they can't express their feelings. They can't connect with other people because they've never learned how. They can't even form functional relationships with other men because, like, me, I tell you I love you and stuff like that, and I don't feel too anything about it. There's nothing you can feel this in our culture where people say, "Oh man, no homo, I love you." Like, do you have to say that?
Yeah.
Do you have to say that?
Yep. So it's so ridiculous. I tell every one of my friends when I'm hanging up the phone, I say, "Hey, but I love you, bud." That's it. I don't feel any kind of way about it. I love all of my friends. I truly do, and I'm not ashamed to say it. You know, it is what it is. I mean, I have my friends that say that too. Oh, no homo. I'm like, dude.
And I get it.
Grow up, you know. I get it too. But it's like, come on, there's no need for that, you know.
If you really, I mean.
So yeah, I mean, it was a wonderful thing that, you know, she reached out to me and wanted to include me in this, and
so did they?
Of course, I accepted it immediately.
So what in this foundation? What are they? So they're going to go do seminars, going to do things like what? Tell me a little bit about it that you know of so far.
So far, what I know is that, again, her brother was a veteran, and, you know, he came back and just kind of didn't tell anybody what was going on in his head, and, you know, people saw that he was a little bit depressed, I think, and he just ended up taking his own life, and it rocked her family, and she just felt like it was important to, you know, make people aware that men do have a hard time coming out and talking about their feelings, because, again, like you said, society has kind of made it seem as though if a man comes out and talks about his issues,
like
problems, we're weak.
Yeah,
we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to be able to handle it on our own, and, you know, so, you know, she thought it was important to get ahead of this and try and help as many people as we can, and you know, she had started to. She started this Instagram page and started to reach out to policemen and veterans and firefighters, and just, you know, really try and target men. And then she saw my post and the reach that I had, and she immediately messaged me and was like, "Hey, I'd really like to, you know, collaborate with you." And you know, I think it was incredibly.
Where does she live?
I didn't get that. I didn't get where she lives yet.
Well, if you, I'll just say it on air here. If let her know I'm interested in being a part of this too, because you know my history. You know what's going on.
Absolutely.
I would. Yeah. I've, you know, everybody who's on my show and who's on my stuff knows that I've twice in my life, and my my marriage here, when it ended, I tried to kill myself, and if I would have succeeded.
Yeah.
But I understand the pain, and I want. Yeah. I would absolutely want to help other men, because I think it's a problem.
Yeah, it is. It really is. You know, and again, my father's one of the greatest men that I know, but we only know what we know, right? Like, right. We know what we see, what we're brought up around, what we're taught as children, and for so long, I had this internal war going on with myself, because again, everybody would always say, "Oh, you're just like your dad. Look, you just look." So I felt like I needed to be like that. I needed to be strong, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally. And I didn't know how to be. I was my mother inside. I didn't know. I wanted to talk. So there was a lot of moments in my life where I just bottled things up, and I didn't deal with them the way that I should have dealt with them. And, you know, it's, like I said, we only know what we know. Now I know better. Now I know it's okay. And if nothing else, we can go to a therapist and let it all out there. There's options for us. You know, and it's not bad to be an emotional or sensitive person. It's okay to feel things. It really is.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you any weaker of a man. Doesn't make you any less of a person. You're still a human being. You're still loved by your friends. All my friends know, even though my friends will tease me every now and again, they'll be like, "All right, John, yeah, whatever." You know, they do, but you know what? They still love me.
Yeah.
They still take care of me. They still know that I know that they still have my best interest in their hearts.
Good.
So it's, you know, and that's what I'm saying. I've finally accepted that it's okay to be me authentically all the time. And if there's a person in my life that doesn't feel comfortable with me being too sensitive or too emotional, then they don't belong in my life. And I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, I mean, we are who we are, like you said. We are who we are. And when we deny it, we cause our own pain. You know? And so, I mean, some men are probably not nearly as sort of sensitive as you are or I am or others. But that's okay too, right? Like, that's okay.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Look, we are who we are. I don't judge anybody for anything. You know, we've all made mistakes. We all do. We are who we are. We do things, the way we do things. You can't judge people because of what they've done or who they are. Gay, straight. My little sister's gay. I don't care if you're gay, straight. Like, none of that matters to me. As long as you're being yourself with me and I can be myself with you, that's it. That's all that matters to me. And I've learned that it's okay to be myself authentically 100% of the time.
I think that's
I don't have to pretend to be somebody else because they may feel uncomfortable if I start talking about my feelings.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, those people probably don't need to be a part of your inner circle or your life.
Right.
And it's okay too. That's okay too. Right. We all have our preferences for who we like to hang around with or whatever. I believe the same thing. I absolutely do. I think that's do you, now I'm curious, when you sat down with your counselor, did you discuss like, here's our goals, or did she just go into exploration?
So yeah, she kind of explored. I told her what was going on in my life. I told her pretty much exactly what I said at the start of the show. It's like, hey, these are the things that I've done, and I really don't know what the hell I was thinking, what I was doing, why I did them. These are the things that I've noticed that I don't like that I've been doing, and I need to get to the bottom of it. I need to fix it. And from there, she just started asking me questions about my childhood and my parents and relationships that I've been in. And it kind of like the first few weeks kind of felt like I was just all over the place talking about things that like I felt like had no relevance to what I was going through in that moment in my life, because I felt like I just went through this breakup and I want to figure out why. But we were talking about my childhood. I'm like, what does this have to do with anything, But coming full circle, we've been almost 3 months removed from that breakup, and I see how it's all tied together. How we again take things on from our adolescence to our teenage years and young adult years into where I'm at now in my life, and we sometimes pick things up, and utilize them in our own way. Sometimes it's a good, we pick up good things. Sometimes you pick up bad things. And unfortunately, like I said, when it comes to hurt and feeling pain from somebody that I love and care about, I unfortunately picked up a lot of bad habits and pushing these people away. Whether I said, get out, I don't want to be with you anymore, just please leave me alone, or cheating on that person, something that I swore I'd never do. It's like something that I hated other guys for, because I, as you know, was in that boat.
Right.
I was on the receiving end of that.
Well, I think it's funny.
So
actually.
It's like,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. It's like I said, I was on the receiving end of that. So it's like, how the hell did I end up doing this very thing that crushed me? Not only did it just crushed me when I found out that that's what I was going through. It's like, how the hell did I do that? Like, what the hell? It just made no sense.
I think it's kind of funny that the way you put it, and I'm sure it's probably exactly the way you would say it. You're like, hey, please just leave me alone. Like, that's usually when people break up, they're like, get the fuck out of my place.
Yeah.
Even when you break up.
My point is, I was like, I'm done. Get the fuck out. Like, I don't want to do this anymore,
Yeah. It's hard for me to imagine, John, you even being mean to anybody. It's just hard for me to imagine. That's the thing. It's the way that I was becoming was very uncharacteristic of who I am. And it was like, I didn't like who I was becoming. My mom didn't have to tell me, hey, you're being an asshole. What are you doing? It broke my heart that she did that, and she said that. But honestly, I didn't like who I was becoming. I felt more alone in my life than I had ever felt before. Again, I had removed myself from everything and everyone that I know in New York. Every single friend and family that I had known my entire life, I moved away from. I ran to try and heal myself. And from what I thought I was doing the right thing in healing and moving away and not dealing with the divorce and people asking me, hey, how you feeling today? Which was
really bothersome to me at the time. Because I just wanted to, like, again, I was just trying to forget it. I was trying to bury it. I didn't know what to do with those emotions. So I ran away. I ran to Florida where nobody knew me. I trained with Flex. I saw him 1 hour to 2 hours a day, and I didn't have to talk about it ever again. But it was the worst thing I could have done. I was burying things that I should have been dealing with. And unfortunately, it manifested into me pushing people away and still not dealing with the things that I needed to deal with. But again, I felt more alone than I ever felt in my life.
Isn't that funny how that works? We want connection, and yet in our most painful times we push people away. Because I know the same. Everything you're saying just totally resonates with me. I've been in those places in the last few years because of my divorce, and I never thought I would react that way. I never thought I would react in a way that would.
I never thought I'd reaact the way that I'd reacted. No. And what's funny? One of the things that we did. We were playing this emotional intimacy building game for couples, me and my ex-girlfriend, and one of the questions was like, describe yourself in 3 words. And I remember saying love, powerful, and broken.
Huh. Broken. What did that mean to you?
I just felt broken inside.
Wow. So it's like a word association game, so to speak. These things that immediately come to mind. Huh.
I just felt like I knew that I had all of these emotions, but then I was sitting across a person who felt I was too emotional, too sensitive. And the worst part about that was they didn't even acknowledge that I said broken.
Oh, man, that's the first thing I heard. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Didn't even acknowledge it.
That hurts just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, I'm sitting across a person that I felt so deeply in love with. And I'm sure when that person hears it now, they're probably going to be like, damn, I didn't even realize.
Well, we all kind of tend to see what we want or hear and see what we want to hear and see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes we're just not in those places where we can hear and see those things that others are trying to tell us.
Yeah, and it was almost like a cry for help. I was just kind of like, please just talk to me. And no.
Wow. Well, before you were talking about children and stuff like that. Now you said you're I know you're like 36, right?
36, yeah.
36. So I remember when I was 36, I just turned 50 this last month.
Yeah.
And I remember, and it wasn't.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thanks, man. It wasn't that long ago. But I didn't have my daughter until I was 39, almost 40. So there's hope for you yet, brother.
Oh, wow.
There's hope for you yet, brother. And I have a wonderful daughter. And I'm going to tell you.
I do believe that. Your daughter's she's a beautiful, happy, smart little girl. I remember she's amazing.
I'm going to tell you, man,
really is.
That the benefit. My brother had his children. My twin brother had his 2 boys when he was in his 20s. And I had mine, of course, when I was much later. So I'm going to tell you there is a benefit. I don't care what anybody says. There is a benefit to having children when we're older and more mature and have conquered some of these demons. But more importantly, when we're older and mature, because I am so much better father than I ever could have, than I could ever imagine I would have been in my 20s or even my early 30s. Not even close. Not even close. So I feel thankful. I feel grateful.
Although I still think you would have been a great father at that age.
I could. Well,
I think you would have. Everybody always tells me like this is the greatest thing in my life, but it's also like one of the shittiest things in my life. Everybody's kids is like, oh, there's Uncle John's coming. They're like, oh, it's Uncle John. They go crazy when they see me. But everybody, all of them, they all like, oh, you're gonna be such a good dad. You're gonna be such a good. It's like it's nice to hear, but it's also like, damn.
Quit reminding me.
Yeah, it's like, God damn it.
I think it's coming.
Hey, like I was saying earlier, like I do my thought process has changed a lot on that. I do believe that, you know, the right woman will come into my life, and you know, that will happen when the time is right. I'm excited for the rest of my life, man. I'm excited for the next few years, my bodybuilding career and business. I have my business partner moved out from California. He's got several gyms. He's got a franchise of gyms out in California. We're building a gym here in Florida now together.
Wow.
So that's one of the business ventures I'm on right now. And
so how's
you know, there's a lot of great things happening.
So all this, are you guys sort of slowing down on your business plans because of all this COVID stuff? Because everyone, you know, I don't know how that's affecting your plans.
No, we actually ramped it up. So I moved out here. It'll be 2 years in October. 2 years in October. So I moved out here, and shortly after that, he was like, "Hey, we should just, you know, try and open a gym out there." And I was like, "Sure. I mean, I'm single or whatever. Let's do it. I got nothing better to do." So I was looking at locations, but at that time, 2 years ago, locations were like at a premium in Miami. Right.
Not
now with COVID, there's a lot of properties that have been, and the prices they're very good. So we're taking advantage of it. Yeah, we're taking advantage of it, and we're like full steam ahead right now. So it's good.
That's awesome, man. Well, I know you're probably like what, an hour and a half out from New York now?
Yeah, about an hour and a half actually.
Well, Jon, you know I love you, man. I always like talking to you. I always like interacting with you, and I miss seeing you at the shows. But it's coming back, I'm sure. And I'm hoping that I'll see you at the Olympia this year, right? I mean, whether you're in the show or as a competitor or just being there to do your.
I'll be there. I'll be competing.
Okay, good. Sure. That's what I want to hear. Good. I know that about you too. So, and I want to be there to be one of the first people to shake your hand when you get off stage.
Thank you. I know. Thank you so much, Dad.
Well, Jon, thank you so much for taking the time, man. I know it's been it's these days with all the uncertainty and all the stuff that's going on, man, and you're still making your way through in good fashion, and you're conquering your demons, and I admire you for that, and I know your journey. So I want to tell you how much I appreciate your honesty, and I appreciate you sharing all this stuff with everybody, because I think it's important, just like you. I think it's extremely important that other men and other people hear it, that it's not that bad.
Yes, absolutely.
And have a safe drive there. Don't hang up.
We are much stronger than we think. That's one thing that I have learned myself is, you know, moving to Florida at the time was what I thought I needed, but it was creating a whole nother battle in being alone and dealing with these thoughts that I never thought I could deal with alone. And man, I'm doing it, and I'm proud of myself for doing it, and I know that everybody around me is proud of myself for doing it. So we are much stronger. Sometimes I know that, I know sometimes we feel like our thoughts and our feelings are so overwhelming that we don't know how to deal with them. But if there's anybody out there listening, you can deal with them. You can defeat them. Just pick up the phone, call a friend, call family, or go see a therapist. We are much stronger than we think we are, for sure.
Absolutely. And we're definitely stronger together than we are individually.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you, Jon, so much for taking the time to do this, man, and sharing everything. And don't hang up as I stop. But I hope I want you to have a safe drive back and back home. Are you just staying there for the weekend or for the week or something?
I'll stay there for a few days. I'm not really too sure when I'm heading back. Maybe Sunday or Monday. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Well,
I want to hug and love on my nephew as much as I can.
Oh, that's good, man. You should fill up every day with as much of that as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks again for being on the show. I appreciate it again. I'm going to have you back on after the Olympia. Because,
thank you.
But you have and drive safe, but stay on the line.
Thank you, Ted.
Handle your high with Tadeusz.